it's tricking the public, and it's kind of bullshit, bro, at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, if Gervonta was Jake Paul's size, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. There probably wouldn't even be a fight.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I just think that it's a disgrace to boxing.
Gervonta is a great boxer, but he ain't gonna be Jake Paul.
So you got Jake Paul by knockout, or?
No, I don't got anybody, but I don't think
He's just too small.
it just I don't want to beat up somebody that small. I don't.
Everybody talk about it's scripted, it's this, it's that. I said, take hit him with some shit. The man gonna come out of him. Get what I'm saying? And I know how that is. You hit me with some shit, I'm gonna hit you with some shit. Get what I'm saying? So, you know, that weight class.
Jake Paul, I think when he weighed in for Mike Tyson, was 227 pounds. That is, if I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference. It's insane. That is called one thing. That's called being a bully.
Ryan Garcia has called Jake Paul a fraud and accused him of scamming fans with what he believes is a fake spectacle rather than a real contest. Garcia's comments lit a fire under the debate surrounding the fight, which is already one of the most talked about events in boxing this year, with a YouTube star turned boxer going against one of the most dangerous and proven champions in the sport. People have been questioning if this fight is about competition or about money and attention.
Like,
why?
it's just disappointing on mainly Jake's end. You know, we're not falling for the Disney Channel bit no more. We're not falling for you're not a fighter no more. We're not falling for that. You know, you're ranked as a cruiserweight and you're out here trying to fight a lightweight. And then on top of it, you were just talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. That doesn't make no sense. And
for Garcia, the answer seems clear. He sees Jake Paul as someone using big names and drama to trick the public into paying for a fight that doesn't deserve the hype. In his eyes, Paul knows exactly what he is doing, selling an image and selling tickets. Garcia warned fans not to fall into the trap, pointing out that Davis is a seasoned professional with years of experience at the highest level. To Garcia, there is no real contest here, only a business move designed to fool the audience into thinking Paul can stand in the same ring as Tank Davis.
You know, I just felt like it was a disgrace to boxing, and kind of it was not a good move by Jake Paul. You know, I understand people saying, you know, Gervonta got to go get his money, you know, blah, blah, blah. But, like, we're not talking about that shit. We're talking about the sport, bro. We're not talking about, oh, you got to get that money, bro. Yeah, but everybody's open to criticism. That's the whole point of this media shit.
Right.
That's why they talk about basketball players. They don't talk about, well, LeBron's making too much. Like, nobody cares, bro. If LeBron's missing the shot, he's missing the fucking shot. So at the end of the day, bro, I just thought it was a disgrace to the sport. Because on one end, you know, you got the casuals, right? The casuals don't see the weight difference. They see Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. Yeah. And if Gervonta Davis doesn't fuck up Jake Paul, they're gonna think Jake Paul is some pound-for-pound champion type of fighter. Yeah. And to me, that's just it's tricking the public, and it's kind of bullshit, bro, at the end of the day.
At the same time, the fight has captured massive attention from other fighters, legends, and experts in both boxing and MMA. Former UFC star Nate Diaz gave his reaction when asked about it, and it said everything about how fighters see this matchup. His reaction carried the tone of disbelief, like someone who doesn't think the fight makes sense at all. For Diaz, who has shared the cage and the ring with some of the toughest fighters in the world, the matchup feels more like a circus than a sporting contest. He didn't have to say much. His body language and his dismissal made his feelings loud and clear.
Gervonta is a great boxer, but he ain't gonna be Jake Paul.
So you got Jake Paul by knockout, or?
No, I don't got anybody, but I don't think
He's just too small.
I don't want to beat up somebody that small. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying?
What do you think of the fight?
I don't want to lose to somebody that. There's no point in the fight. It's a great fight, actually.
You think
I'm
it's a
not
good
hating
fight?
on the fight, but I think my thoughts on it is let's watch it and see what happens.
The questions around the fight are not just about spectacle. There are also real concerns about safety. Gervonta Davis's own coach admitted publicly that this fight raises red flags. He explained that while Davis is an elite level fighter, the danger lies in mixing someone of Tank's skill with someone like Paul, who does not have that same level of foundation. In other words, it's a mismatch that could put Paul in a dangerous situation, or worse, damage the reputation of boxing if the fight goes wrong.
Got a serious fight coming up. Everybody keeps saying, oh, that, nah. Jake Paul and Tank been going at it for years, and I got to worry about his safety, you know?
Absolutely. And how did this fight come about? Because I remember Jake was at the fight with him and Lamont, when Gervonta fought, and I thought it was next, right?
No, they was talking about this for years. You know,
Yeah.
Tank been going back and forth for so long, and people don't understand that, you know? One thing I can say about Jake, he's good at what he do, and he's been doing it. That's why he's where he's at. And everybody keeps saying, be honest, this is a risky fight. You know what I'm saying? Anything can happen because I don't know all the logistics inside love, what weight class. There's a lot of stuff I don't know about yet. But my main thing is keep it safe.
Another layer in the conversation comes from the weight issue. Jake Paul has been pushing to get the fight at a weight that benefits him, knowing Davis is naturally smaller. TalkSport reported on this, pointing out that Paul's size advantage has been one of his biggest weapons in past fights. He's used his larger frame to bully opponents and create power shots that put people down. Against Davis, who usually fights at lightweight, the weight could play a role. Former fighters have also given predictions, and many of them paint the same picture: one-sided domination. The boxing legend Hasim Rahman came forward and said this fight won't be competitive at all. His prediction was that Davis would deliver a dramatic finish and knock Paul out in brutal fashion. To him, the difference in talent and experience is so wide that the fight becomes a showcase of Tank's ability rather than a real clash. This isn't meant to disrespect Paul's efforts in boxing, but to remind people that there are levels to the sport, and Davis operates on the highest one.
I think Tank gonna knock him out.
Oh, see, I just told y'all we're gonna see some shit.
Tank is a real live dog in this fight, man.
Real loud.
Tank ain't gonna let Jake hit him.
That's right. That's right.
And Tank punched like a cruiserweight.
That's right.
Yep. Like a cruiserweight.
So y'all get caught up on that roach. Y'all get caught up on that roach stuff if y'all want to. Tank gonna bring that raid for Jake Paul.
On the other hand, the business side cannot be ignored. Jake Paul has made a career out of selling fights, creating drama, and making people pay to see whether he sinks or swims. While critics like Garcia see this as a scam, others recognize it as entertainment. Paul has built himself into a brand that thrives on these moments. Whether fans tune in to watch him win or to watch him get knocked out, the attention is there. That attention is why the fight is happening at all.
Jake Paul, I think when he weighed in for Mike Tyson, was 227 pounds. That is, if I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference. It's insane. That is called one thing. That's called being a bullet.
Shakur Stevenson also voiced his opinion, siding with Davis. For Stevenson, the outcome is not in doubt. He is confident that Tank's skills, power, and experience make him unbeatable in this matchup. Stevenson's backing adds even more weight because as one of the sharpest and most technical boxers today, his eye for the fight game carries credibility. If he says Davis is going to handle Paul easily, most fans take it as another confirmation of what they already suspect.
Maybe he'll fight Jake Paul instead. What do you think of that?
I think that's terrible.
Why?
I mean, I get it because at the end of the day, it's the money business, and you want to make the most money, but from what I'm hearing, he can make more money in a fight with me, and if that's the case, why not fight me?
Sure. Do you think he beats Jake Paul?
Do I think he beats Jake? Yeah. I mean,
there's a huge size advantage, though.
It is, but I think Tank got the skills to make sure he come out on top.
Do you think that Jake has gone better?
Yeah, I think actually Jake got tremendously better from the time frame that he started till now. And in the right situation, I also could see him become a world champion.
Really?
Yeah.
The overall tone from the boxing world is very clear. Davis is expected to destroy Paul, yet the fight still has people buzzing. That's because Jake Paul has been underestimated before. He's beaten fighters who some thought would expose him, and while none were world champions like Davis, the wins gave him credibility among casual fans. It's that unpredictability, the what-if factor, that keeps people watching. If Paul were to land a big shot, if he were to somehow survive Davis's pressure, it would shake the sport. The unlikeliness of it is exactly what makes it so fascinating.
I think Davis is more to lose because he's the bona fide world champion. I don't care if he's much smaller. I think Jake Paul has sort of plateaued as far as where his boxing is concerned. It's rather low level. He's big, he's physical, he's strong, he can hit. So there is that risk. Davis, at lightweight, you're in a moment where it's too physical for you. You can clinch. Against the heavyweight, where you clinching? You ain't getting out of that corner just clinching anymore if you run out of space. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. But Davis, listen, there's a lot of talking points that I'm sure we'll get into when this gets closer to the fight. Davis can still punch at lightweight. Can he drop a heavyweight? There's a lot to gain there, right? If Davis knocks...
The answer is yes.
If Davis drops Jake on his ass...
Ryan Garcia's words, though, cut straight to the heart of the criticism. He insists that fans are being misled. In his mind, Paul is not climbing the boxing ladder the way real fighters do. He's skipping steps, using money and fame to get opportunities that others fight their whole lives for. Garcia's frustration reflects what many fighters feel about Paul's rise. To them, it cheapens the sport. It makes boxing look like it can be bought rather than earned. That's why Garcia doesn't just criticize Paul's chances in the fight. He questions the entire idea of it.
I just think that it's a disgrace to boxing.
Well, we got to play devil's advocate because people were saying, well, Ryan, you called out Jake Paul before too, so how would you say that? What do you have to say to the people that were saying that to you?
Well, I'm way bigger than Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis is 5'4", and his last fight was at 133. My last fight was 147, I walk around 170. So, I mean, 170 to 190, whatever, however big is not too much difference. But you got Gervonta Davis, he's actually really small. Like, when I fought him, he's small. Yeah. So I just think it's a very unfair fight. Nobody was complaining when Jake Paul was fighting Julio Cesar Chavez. Right. Nobody was complaining when he was fighting Anthony Joshua. And I still think Jake Paul's a cool dude. But shit, he's called me out on my shit. I'm gonna call him out on his shit, bro.
At the same time, Garcia's words add fuel to the spectacle. His attack creates more headlines, more drama, and more attention on the fight. Ironically, even calling Paul a fraud ends up helping sell the event because it keeps people talking. Paul has always thrived on being the villain or the outsider. For every person who calls him a scam, there's another who pays just to see if he finally gets exposed.
Is this becoming a recipe for disaster for Tank Davis and another genius marketing move for Jake Paul? Now, with that being said, I do want to know more of the details. I want to know more of the rules. I want to know what this fight is looking like through the eyes of at least one of the guys in it, because as of right now, Gervonta Tank Davis has said nothing. He has said not a lick about this fight. On the other hand, the master marketer that he is has already dropped a video called I'm Fighting Gervonta Davis. And I want to take a look at this, see if one, there's any details that I missed, and two, how Jake is going to spin this. Because as we all know, as a competitive sport boxing fan, this is nonsense. It doesn't make any sense for the sport, for Tank as a world champion fighting Jake Paul, as Jake Paul trying to become a world champion fighting.
When looking at all the perspectives together, the storyline is clear. Jake Paul comes in with size, self-belief, and a history of selling big fights. Gervonta Davis comes in with power, skill, and the respect of the boxing world. Ryan Garcia calls the whole thing a scam. Nate Diaz shrugs it off as nonsense. Davis's coach warns about safety. Shakur Stevenson fully backs Tank.
Boxing fans are losing their minds over this Jake Paul versus Tank Davis fight. And honestly, can you blame them? Why would Tank agree to this? I mean, look at the graphic. Jake is 6'1", 199 pounds with a 6'4" wingspan. Tank, 5'5", 133 pounds, a 5'7" wingspan. Tank fighting me would be a fairer matchup. We're basically the same size. And you wonder why fans think Jake's fights are rigged? Because every time we see some nonsense like this, it feels like WWE with boxing gloves. Here's the kicker though. Jake threatened to sue anyone who calls his fights rigged. Yeah, the same guy who preaches freedom of speech now wants to ban opinions. After that clown show with Mike Tyson that left everyone scratching their heads.
What makes this fight so unusual is that it sits on the edge of sport and entertainment. Everyone knows who the better fighter is. Everyone knows Davis should win, but the curiosity of seeing Paul step into that level of danger is what makes people watch. If Davis wins easily, the boxing world will say they were right all along. If Paul somehow pulls off the impossible, the sport will explode with debate.
I don't like it, if I'm honest. I mean, I think we need to really differentiate between boxing and an entertainment concept, and that's what that is. It's a freak show, it's entertainment, it's a lightweight fighting a cruiserweight, with, I don't know, is it bigger gloves and certain minutes per round. I don't know what it is, but you know, I understand the market and I understand this freak show shock kind of the world mentality of people potentially tuning in. Is that a step too far? Maybe. I mean, I hated Jake Paul against Mike Tyson, but it did massive numbers. I hate Jake Paul against Gervonta Davis. It'll probably do massive numbers. So that's when you really have to.
For now, the voices around the fight keep building the story. Garcia's fraud accusations, Stevenson's support, Diaz's dismissal, the coach's concern, and the legend's knockout prediction all add layers. Each one shapes the way fans see the fight, and each one keeps the hype alive.
What? And that's if it's sold. If anything sold, it would be this. What if Tank Davis, who can punch, who is a hell of a fighter, who is a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter, what if he lands a punch on this bigger guy's chin, right, who's not a professional fighter? What happens? What happens? That's what would sell it. I know what the size difference is what creates the problem. The optics, the look, the reality. I mean, you got one guy who's fights at 135 pounds, and you got another guy who fights at 200. I mean, just that alone, yeah. But you also, and I'm not saying I want this or I like this when I heard it.
When the night comes, all the words will give way to action. Davis will step into the ring with the pressure of being the favorite and the responsibility of defending boxing's honor. Paul will step in with the weight of being doubted and the determination to prove everyone wrong. Whether it ends in the expected brutal finish or in the shocking twist of an upset, the world will be watching. If you don't want to miss any of the drama, reactions, and expert breakdowns, make sure to stay locked in with Ring Rivalry, your home for all the latest fight talk. Hit that subscribe button and join the debate, because this is one fight the combat sports world will never forget.